call, press 0 to refuse this call.
Your voice.
I got something to say.
And so I went with them one day to see the show. But to go in, they had to do background check on me and whatever, I guess, I don't know what the fuck they did. But anyway, I got a chance to go. And they took us in Stateville, and they had to take us through the turret, right, to get to where they were doing the show. And up about, I don't know how many fucking floors it was, 4 maybe, there was Richard Speck with his big old titties.
And so...
He's a big dude. And he had these gigantic saggy titties, and he was wearing a sweatshirt, and he was just watching us walk in.
So they do that. So they do whoever does this interview on Richard Speck. He's sitting with this black dude, and they got like $10,000. They got a bunch of money. I don't know, a bunch of money, and they're snorting coke, all types of shit. You know what I'm saying? In prison.
Oh yeah, I saw that. I actually saw that videotape.
Yeah, so they're in prison chilling. After that, the Illinois DOC revamped. And when they revamped, they went to 2 bins. That was it. They had to, that's all that stuff's coming out of Illinois Criminal Justice or Correctional Facility, based on that episode, based on them trying to basically clean up the prison system. Because
when I saw it was the first, I guess it was probably March of 1983.
Yeah.
So this was before all
that. So you're saying that eventually Minnesota catches up, but yeah, Minnesota's just catching up. Minnesota's catching up because it doesn't have the same problems as Illinois has on the same levels that Illinois has, because they got.
That's just what the sergeant told me, was that it was so hard to move guys because they had so much stuff that it was taking forever to pack a guy up, right?
Right.
Even if they were going to pack him up for release, it was taking forever.
Right. Well, the 2 bins, the 2
carpets and all kinds of shit.
The 2 bins make sense. The 2 bins make sense in a sense because it just helps for those individuals who are pack rats. Right. You can't go out of your 2 bins. But you got guys who are lifers, but sometimes they get grandfathered in depending on what joint they're at. But you gotta understand, when I made my move from Stillwater down to Faribault, not only are they stealing shit out of your bins, they're playing games with the bins, right? You buy all this stuff up at Stillwater that either you can't have it at Faribault, or it comes up missing in wherever you get your shit from, Canteen, wherever getting ready to give you your shit, it's not there. I lost gym shoes, I lost clippers, I lost all types of shit.
Yeah.
Because they're stealing stuff out of the bins, and whether it was Stillwater, whether it was Faribault, I don't know, because it takes a few minutes. It takes maybe a week or 5 days for you even receive your bin.
Right.
So you don't know where it happened at. I know I packed it. I know it was in there, and then. So that whole bin situation, I feel personally that it's just
Would you go back to Canteen and say these things are missing? What do they say?
I never, because I get my bin, I bring it back into the unit, I go through all my stuff, I see it's not there, and I don't know what happened, I don't go back to Canteen and dispute it, because at that time it's a muted point. To me, it's like I'm not gonna get into this kite riding thing, but I'm gonna watch what happens. I'm not gonna get into this kite riding thing with these individuals, right? So, and it's never gonna fair on my side and be fair, right?
I was gonna say, Canteen will just piss all over you.
Right. That's never gonna. And that sergeant I ended up going to SEG with is the main guy who does all the despicable bullshit in Faribault.
Who was it?
Name a sergeant, and I'll tell you if you remember him.
I don't know.
It was I can't think of his name right off the bat, and I'm probably gonna say the wrong name, but he's the sergeant that works days that everybody had a problem with, that would take your shit, refuse to let you have stuff when you order stuff to come in. That was that sergeant that I got in. Well, actually, claimed that I did something to him, assaulted him. He was the one. But everybody knows him. If I looked him up and told you his name, you'll say I know who he is, because everybody had a problem with this guy. But that's not it. So when I get to Faribault, I'm like, I'm not worried about these gym shoes. I'm not worried about. There's a couple of things that they didn't give me that were pricey items in prison that I was like, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit up here and go back and forth with these guys. Because at the time I was getting hit with other shit. Like, they're trying to send me to the kitchen. I didn't have any of my money or anything like that. So I was just working with a whole different thing, trying to use the phone. So I get into altercation with the CO in Faribault, that sergeant, and whoever is their little lapdog. I get into them with that, and they send me up to Oak Park Heights. In Oak Park Heights, I'm in ACU. I'm in ACU for 8.5 months in Oak Park Heights. ACU is not SEG. ACU is below SEG. If you can believe it's below SEG, it's below SEG. It's worse than SEG, right? So I don't think you ever been to SEG, but I
was in SEG.
Well, it's if you can figure out a place worse than SEG, that's ACU, right? So I'm sitting in ACU for 8.5 months. None of my property. Remember, my property is in Faribault, and I got into altercation with the CO. So once you get out of ACU, you go into administrative status. ACU is called administrative, but it's not administrative. So you go into administrative status where they got TVs in the room, they got showers in the room. You don't never leave your room in ACU because they got everything in your cell. So your TV could come on in your whatever. But there's no more. What?
You don't do any of that, SEG.
No, I just went to ACU.
Right.
I just my 8 months. I'm done with my 8 months of SEG and ACU, and I'm in administrative status. They're getting ready to move me. They're getting ready to move me from ACU to SEG. Prior to that, I had nothing. The TV wasn't on. I came out my cell when they let me out, and when I came out of my cell, I was able to use the telephone call, but I could only use the phone. I only had so many phone calls a week, and it progressed. So the first time I hit ACU, I was able to make 2 phone calls, 15-minute phone calls. If I had money on my books, that was for the whole week. That was it.
Wow.
That's it. It's a blackout unit. And believe me, so this is how the phone calls work in ACU. I call you, Sean. First of all, I got to call the operator and say, hey, I want to make a telephone call. They got to let me turn the phones on so I can make a telephone call.
Right.
And then and I make a telephone call. The phone call rings. You don't pick up. That's one telephone call for the week.
Yep.
I call you again. You don't pick up. All my telephone calls for the week are gone.
Yep.
That's ACU. ACU, right. when I was in ACU, although all my visits were via prompter. You guys have had that in Faribault, where my wife would come into Out Park Heights. She drive out, but she'll see me on a video screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I went from my cell into the gym where there was a computer monitor, and I sat in the cell all the time. I came out of my cell. When I came out of my cell, I was by myself. I walked down the house by myself, and they opened the doors like trap doors. You know what I'm saying? That's how I moved. They watched me move through the hall. Nobody, so that's ACU. So I just wanted to explain to you, when I say it's underneath cell, it's fucking underneath cells. There's no lights. They control the lights. The lights stay on all day, and they have a mic they communicate with you with a speaker in your room, right? So they'll be like, so at night when I would go to sleep in deep sleep, they would come on my speaker and just say shit.
Right.
All right. So I get out of AC. I'm come from out of my AC unit. Now I'm in administrative. I'm getting ready to go to SEG from that where they have me at, and I get my property back. Part of the way you can get your TV turned on in your cell is by you having a TV in your property. So I write them. I say, hey, I need my property because I'm going to start doing my legal work, shit like that. Get my property ready because I'll be leaving and go home in a little bit. Man, it took me another 2.5 months to get my property from Faribault. They kept telling them so I couldn't get my TV on because I might have had TV, but I had to have a TV in my property, right? So they could not find my property. now I'm in Oak Park Heights, where all that kite riding you guys do. Like, kite riding is like a thing. You ride a kite, you might get a kite back from somebody. You might get a kite. So I'm riding these kites trying to figure out where my fucking property is. Nobody knows where it's at. Know where it's at? It's in Fairboat, and they're not releasing my property. When I get my property back, they done went through my property. I got some dirty ass underwears in my property. I got all types of like bullshit in my property. You know what I'm saying? Just dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? That's what they do. That's what I mean. This is what I'm telling you. This is how shit situation is. How shit works itself out. And it's just like I said, it's a overall bad situation. So like I said, so the whole property deal, that's just funny with the whole bins and them being able to control the property and all that. Now I sort of wish they had to fucking pack up a cell with nothing but a bunch of bullshit up in there. Because like I said, with that, when I get my property back, it's like that, and I think they allowed the inmates to go through my shit and take what they want. My TV was still there, but like majority of my other stuff was it wasn't gone. But I mean, come on, man, you threw some dirty ass boxes in my my property. Come on, man, that shit's just petty.
No, I hear you. I mean, and the funny thing about it is that there are guys who work in canteen and help sort through a lot of that property.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course the sergeant is, they know the game. They know, like, of course he's like, I'm about to go take a coffee break now. Go search, get his stuff together. Remember how they and I don't know, you were a big fan of it, but they had these pants that looked like jeans. They were black. They were black with the pockets in them. Yep. And in Fairboat they made them illegal. I mean, they were contraband. You couldn't have them. They were taking them out of the bins.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, because a lot of guys were coming back because they were the old issues, and they went into these pants that were just, with the one pocket on the side, the elastic around it, just horrible pants. You know what I'm saying?
If you had old pants, they grandfathered them for a long time.
Yeah, but when you transferred in, if they were in your bin, you didn't have them when you came down. You had to buy them from somebody who was already in Fairboat that had access to them.
Either wanted to sell them or was leaving.
Yeah, or and if you got caught with them and they packed you up, they were taking those pants. Yep. So I mean so it was just shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Being up in Stillwater, being able to have that type of, like, at least have some decent stuff to go on visits with that looked like you were okay, then putting on these tight ass pants that in my position, they were created to show your ass. Because they come on, man. They had no pockets in them, or no back pockets on them, and all the sizes seemed like they were extra tight, and so to me it just seems like they had this sexual. They were just.
Well, they're just not very well made. They're cheap.
Yeah.
And they're just bad.
Yeah. So yeah. So that was just that. So it's too much, man. It's just way too much.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, but at least we're not doing it now, right?
Say again. What'd you say? Say again.
We're not doing it right now.